Hello, my name is Jennifer Sapp, and I represent the APTS West education team with the presentation of culturally responsive teachers training at APTS. Did you know that 46% of all 77 million students enrolled in the U.S. schools are culturally diverse, meaning that they identify as something other than white, not Hispanic? That is roughly 35 million students. But with that, 90% of all U.S. teachers are white, middle-class females. Many teachers face additional predispositions and unknown prejudice just due to the lack of self-awareness. These teachers may unknowingly dismiss or refuse to acknowledge white dominance in history, which causes a lack of cultural understanding and can often fail to recognize the depth of racial inequality, uphold a deficit view of lower expectation for minority students. They may teach with colorblindness by failing to see the extra obstacles minority students must overcome just simply due to the color of their skin, and a lack of understanding that they are themselves bicultural beings and thereby fail to recognize their own cultural lenses. While this is a problem across the United States, just in the Commonwealth of Virginia alone, statistics show that students of color are 4.5% more likely to be suspended for their actions than their white counterparts for what's seen as subjectively questionable actions or simply based off perception. In addition, 52% of all suspensions are against Black students. However, they only make up about 22% of student enrollment across the state of Virginia. Of these suspensions, Black female students are 3 times more likely to receive their reprimand over their peers of other racial descent. Further research found that schools with higher suspension rates of students of color also had lower number of students with the school that were minorities, as well as had a higher student poverty rate and lower percentages of minority teachers. Now, to make this more specific to APTS, we found that our primary servicing counties have large numbers of cultural diversity that is specific to special education students. As you can see on the slide that is being shown, Manassas has our largest number of culturally diverse students with exceptionalities at 64%. From there, we see that Stafford County has 47%, Alexandria at 40%, and Spotsylvania County at 33%. However, this doesn't even begin to touch on other counties such as Orange, King George, and Prince William County that average about 45% culturally diverse special education students. In addition to all of that, these students have a history of suspensions and expulsions, and in most cases, they're actually entering our school from other private day schools due to maladaptive behaviors. Because we're aware of these numbers, we must continue the progressive movement of cultural diversity in teaching to support students' continuing growth and equity. Well, as we begin to teach, we must consider that there are dimensions of equity, such as multicultural education, social justice education, and culturally responsive education. Cultural responsiveness requires the ability of educators to make connections between academic curriculum and students' personal experiences in the classroom, while building on prior knowledge so that students feel affirmed in their abilities and unique attributions, despite their differences in culture and perspectives. Culturally responsive teaching is essential because it supports a diverse classroom by educating others on their differences and similarities with their peers, while ensuring that every student sees themselves in academic content and in the classroom. The hope is for students to learn about various individuals in text and other materials while developing an awareness of different perspectives. When done appropriately, culturally responsive teaching creates this environment where students feel included in their education by connecting academic content with life experiences while engaging with other learners and their perspectives and insights. If we know that culturally responsive teaching is so beneficial in the classroom for student growth and equity, what can APTS do to ensure we provide this technique? It requires training and, of course, intentionality. Once a month, APTS designates 2 consecutive teacher development days so that we can continue to invest in our staff and our students. With some planning, we can continue to support culturally responsive teaching in the classroom. Meet Zaretta Hammond. Zaretta Hammond is a national education consultant and the author of the book Culturally Responsive Teaching and the Brain. She holds a master's in education and English education with the concentration in writing, and she is also a former high school and community college expository writing instructor. She also served as adjunct instructor at St. Mary's College School of Education in California, where she taught the foundations of adolescent literacy. As a consultant, she has advised and provided professional development to school districts and nonprofit organizations across the country around issues of equity, literacy, and culturally responsive teaching for the past 25 years. She brings a unique focus on neuroscience to the conversation about equity, literacy, and culturally responsive pedagogy to make it an understandable and practical for educators. Zaretta Hammond's book, Culturally Responsive Teaching and the Brain, discusses a bold, brain-based teaching approach to culturally responsive instruction. To close the achievement gap, which unfortunately Virginia is failing to do, diverse classrooms need a proven framework for optimizing student engagement. Hammond draws on neuroscience research to offer an innovative approach for designing and implementing brain-compatible, culturally responsive instruction. She has a wealth of experience and knowledge on the subject and can offer insight and approaches on how APTS can enter into a culturally responsive teaching environment. So, how do we make this happen? Ms. Hammond offers in-person and virtual guest speakings and trainings. To save on expense, APTS can seek to have her on a virtual training at a future teacher workday. Looking at her calendar as well as ours, she is available Monday, February 6, 2023, where she can provide a detailed training as well as additional resources that we can follow up on our February 7th training date. We can brainstorm her techniques and our strategies and how we can best implement them into the classroom. In addition to all this, our lead teachers can continue to support other teachers through the remainder of the school year because, as we said before, this all takes intentionality. So now we must talk numbers. To schedule Ms. Hammond for a virtual training, an initial deposit of $1,000 must be sent as a down payment. In total, the cost of the event is $4,500. While this is a greater expense than maybe we were expecting, it supports APTS's mission to successfully transition all students to a less restrictive environment and continue pursuing their educational goals with the greatest level of equity. In addition, we will have permanent access to her training resources, which can be used year after year as we continue to utilize culturally responsive teaching in the classroom. Not ready to make a decision without knowing more? I can help you with that. I included our links to share more about Zaretta Hammond and culturally responsive teaching and the brain. While we have provided you a copy of the book, Culturally Responsive Teaching and the Brain are free on audio through Amazon. You can listen to it while you work and learn more about what Ms. Hammond is passionate about and why she is also so popular on this topic. In addition, there is a short biography on her, as well as a few interviews that were completed to share a little bit more about her thoughts, her passions, and why she is so big on culturally responsive teaching.